Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from AnthonyMorganti.com, and this is episode 10 of Photo Critiques. And Photo Critiques is simply people send me in some of their photos, and I critique each shot, and I try to offer suggestions on how they could improve the image, and ultimately, hopefully, make them better photographers. And there's something in it for everyone. I offer these suggestions, and if you watch Photo Critiques, you'll get ideas of how you could improve your photography too. And today I'm pleased to critique the work, and I apologize ahead of time, I'm going to mess up his name, Sandipan Biswas. It could be Biswas, but I think it's Biswas. And he signed his email Sandy, so I'm going to call him Sandy, not Sandipan, because I'm probably butchering that name too. So anyway, Sandy sent me 10 images, and this is the first one. This is kind of that typical beach scene where you see the surf breaking into the rocks, and he's kind of betwixt and in between here. What you want to do when you get these shots, you want to either blur the water or you want to freeze it, like to us, so there's no blur at all in it, and he's kind of in between. So in this case, you have to use a super fast shutter speed, 1/4000th of a second, 1/2000th of a second, and I don't think the light was adequate for that. But that's what you need to freeze that water, so each droplet is frozen in time. In this case, the motion is just kind of messy. It doesn't really add to the photograph. If you're using a super long shutter speed, putting maybe perhaps an ND filter, a neutral density filter on there, so you could get a really long shutter speed, this splash would look bad. That wouldn't work either. In that case, what you'd want to do is you'd want to wait till the surf came all the way in, trip your shutter, and your shutter's going to be open while the surf is going back. And then that's the way you would do that in this shot. So in this case, this shot here is kind of like I said, in the middle. He really has to freeze this surf to get this splash effect to look really attractive. This shot here I like. It's very saturated color, which a lot of people might not like, but I like it, and it works with this white like light tower here against this vivid blue sky and the blue water and the vivid white birds, or the bright white birds. What Sandy has to avoid in the future is way down at the bottom of the frame here we have this blurred foliage that was probably right in front of him. It's sometimes when you've got your eye up to the viewfinder, you don't see everything to the far ends, top, bottom, and sides of the viewfinder, and you really have to take care and be careful. You don't want this blurring in there because it's just distracting. He could have zoomed in, but he wouldn't have had all the birds in the frame. But maybe he could have repositioned himself and avoided this foliage up front. So that's my advice there, is to really look at all edges of the frame and make sure that every pixel adds to the image, and these are taken away from the image. This is my favorite shot he sent. This is gorgeous. Just the sky is beautiful. The water's gorgeous. We have these piers jutting out into this lake. Maybe it could be the ocean, but either way, you have these piers coming out, which helps lead your eye through the photograph. And the color of the grass is awesome with the little highlights on the grass. It's a great shot. The only thing I would have done, and this is personal taste, is I would have added a vignette, and just a light vignette. As you guys who watch my Lightroom videos have known or have seen, I tend to not put a heavy vignette. I just put a light one. And what the vignette does, it helps you to, like these piers, it helps you lead your eye into the center of the picture. And without it, it's still a great picture. But I'm just saying, in my opinion, if you added a vignette, see, there's without the vignette and there's with the vignette. It helps lead your eye towards the center of the picture. It just darkens the edges a little bit. Let me get rid of this. The next shot, I like this a lot. Again, there's super saturated colors. I still like it. These rocks have a nice glow from the light. Typically, something ugly like that, you know, these, I shouldn't say ugly, but something kind of unattractive slabs of rock you might not want in the shot, but because the way they're being lit by the warm sunset is really nice. What a couple things is Sandy might want to revisit this area again when the sky is a little more interesting. The color though is awesome. You know, I'm sure that is you know, enhanced from Lightroom in that, but that's just fantastic. He did a nice job processing that. The other thing is we have some birds in the distance. There's one here, there's one here, I think there's one there, one there, one there. It kind of just looks like dirt when you get birds that are way off in the distance. I know you were there and you know those birds were flying around, but to the average, probably any photographer will know those are birds. But to the average person, it looks like dust specks, especially these little ones. So you want to get rid of all those with the spot removal tool in Lightroom and get rid of those. Or if you're in Photoshop, just use the healing brush and get rid of those. So that's all I could recommend on that shot. This shot is nice. It's super saturated colors in the sky, a silhouette. I mean, it's just it's a great shot. There's nothing I really could add to that to make that any better. And nothing I could add to this one. This is a great shot of the moon. He probably used, I would imagine, around a 500mm lens. Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's probably a Sigma lens. I have that same lens. It's a very nice lens. And typically, when you shoot a moon, you need a tripod. You put your camera on the tripod and you zoom in as far as your lens, whatever you're using, will let you. Usually what I do is I put the aperture around, I'd say, f8. And I shoot manual. I put the aperture on f8 and I go around 1/60th of a second and I start there and I expose that and I look and see how it's exposed. If it's too bright, I'll use a faster shutter speed. If it's too dark, I'll use a slower shutter speed. I usually leave my aperture right around f8. And that's, you know, this is a great shot, great detail in the moon. This shot here, I don't care for it. I love the idea what he was trying to do with the sunset behind the boat, but the real interesting part of this photograph isn't all this water and the sky. The interesting part of the photograph is the boat with the people on it and the sun behind it. So if possible, if he could have zoomed in further and just got the boat, he might have even had to shoot vertical to get the boat silhouetted against the sun. I think it would have been a much stronger shot. The water, there's a thing called negative space in photography, but this isn't really, I think that's what he was going for here, but it doesn't work because negative space, let's say you had a photograph, you had a model and you just wanted to photograph her face, but you had her face right here in the lower left hand side of the picture, and all this up here was the white background. All that white background would be negative space. It's just an effect you're using. The model's face is over here and all this is the white background. In this case, there's just too much detail to make it negative space. You could tell this is the sky. There's a tiny bit of cloud over here in the water, and there's a rock up in here. It's not really negative space. It's in between. It's like that the wave crashing into the rocks that wasn't frozen enough. This is kind of in between. It's not really negative space, and it's not really interesting to add to the photograph. So the alternative in this case, if you know, I mentioned in many of my articles, and I mentioned many times, work the scene. You might start out with this shot. Of course, this boat is moving, and you only maybe get one shot at that sun behind there. But in some instances, you could take more if the boat's anchored or something. You zoom in, get this real close. That's what my suggestion would be on this one. This is a nice shot. The bird in the foliage. Generally speaking, when you have stuff like this and you have limited depth of field with the blurring, it helps bring out the subject, and he did that very well, whereas this is very nicely focused here. Overall, though, when you have a lot of blur like this with detail, it's not like a it's got a lot of structure to it and it's blurred. It kind of is hard on your eye. If it was really, I don't know, like carpeting, let's say, or for the sake of argument, like carpeting, and it was just a uniform color carpeting, but it was blurred like this is, blurred in the back, blurred in the front, it wouldn't be so hard on your eyes. But because this has some detail to it and structure to it and being blurred, it kind of is hard on the eyes to look at. So I like the effect he did. He didn't bullseye the subject, which means puts it right in the middle. He has it off to the side a little bit. That's a nice job, and he used the aperture and got him in focus very well. This might be one though where you really want to zoom in again, similar to the sailboat, and get it real close. This is a nice shot too. The beautiful colored bird. The background is blurred nicely. It's a little bright over here. Again, you could use a vignette and it would help lead your eye back into the bird. The only thing I could say is right in here, it's due to the coloring of the bird and it's front lit. The bird is being front lit. It's dark, and and I mentioned zillions of times, the eyes are the most important part. So what Sandy might want to do is on the raw file of this is take a brush and just lightly brighten up this area here around the head, right in here. And I would say if less than a third of a stop, just bring it up a little bit brighter, and it will add a lot of interest to the image, because people will see the eye of the bird a lot more readily. This shot here is cool. It's a cool vantage point, and the canoe makes the shot, in my opinion, being kind of here, this empty canoe. It's okay. There's not a lot of color. It looks like the leaves are either just coming in or they fell already and there's seaweed. If there was a lot more color, I'd like it a lot better. But it's pretty uniform green, and the water's nice though with the reflection of the clouds. So this is it's an okay shot. Not much I could add. Again, maybe a vignette would help it help lead your eye towards the middle where the canoe is. And I think that's it actually. Yep, that's it. I appreciate Sandy sending me in some of his shots. Some really nice ones there. I particularly liked this one. This is a fantastic shot. Just might want to consider adding a vignette, but it is your shot and your vision, so you do what you think is right. But I think the shot is gorgeous without the vignette even. So it's a really nice shot, Sandy. Congratulations on that. And I'd like to again thank him for sending me his photograph. I enjoyed looking at him. And that's it for this episode of Photo Critiques. And as I mentioned in the last 8 episodes of Photo Critiques, I'm way behind on Photo Critiques. So, and I'm going to get even more behind because they're just keep rolling in. So I'm going to do them as I could do them. I hope you guys understand it might take me a while and you might be really waiting. But I do them in order. I don't take somebody ahead of somebody because I want to say something or anything like that. I do them right in order as I get them. So I appreciate everyone watching the videos on YouTube and commenting and subscribing and sharing my videos. And if you haven't subscribed already, I appreciate it if you did. And that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon.